I'm Cache Valley Prepper. This video is for Survivalpedia. It's part of a series on pocket survival kits, and it's about appropriate tools to include in pocket survival kits. Obviously, the most important tool you could include is a knife of some sort. This knife here is a card knife. It's called the Snap. Let's see if I can turn it so you can see the lighting, the writing in the lighting. It's kind of light, but it's made by Norseman through Tops Knives, and he did a great job designing this. You can see I kind of changed the angle here for my own purposes on one side and left this other side at the stock angle, but it's a kind of a chisel edge, very well designed, effective form factor for pocket survival kits. Before this, we were only seeing things like this on the market, and you can see there's just so much more useful edge to this knife. You know, and if you prefer something like this, you know, that's fine. You know, to each his own. But I think this design has a lot more capability. It can easily be attached to a branch to scrape or to cut down food from up high. So great for, especially, I mean, it lends itself to urban situation as well, but also great for wilderness environment. Probably you'll be carrying a knife either in your pocket or on your belt, depending on your environment. So a knife like this is primarily designed as a backup knife. You may be carrying other tools elsewhere on your person in the core layer of survival equipment that you carry in your everyday carry. But here we're talking about what's contained in a pocket survival kit, things that would be appropriate to include. You won't necessarily include all of this. You'd be taking up a lot of room, but it's just to give you some ideas. This tool is a Leatherman Squirt. It's got a knife blade, a file, scissors, a couple little screwdrivers. Very useful for first aid, and it has a pair of pliers and cutters that are useful for many things, from pulling out cactus spines to fixing things to working with metal, working with wire. It's just a great thing to have. This one came out of I believe it was from an Air Force issue survival kit, one of the two-part pocket survival kits. I think it was thoughtful design to include. Other options, you could carry scalpels. You can carry a couple different blade shapes and lengths. You know, they have uses as well. You could attach it to a handle, but I prefer a larger knife. You know, that if you don't have a lot of room, you could carry a scalpel blade or something like a Havalon disposable knife blade that you could easily attach to a handle. Won't take up a lot of room. It's kind of like a scalpel on steroids. You should also have some way to sharpen blades, your knife blade. This came off of a fall Niven diamond sharpener, and it's a very fine grit diamond, so it's pretty, I would say it's probably on, you know, in the fine, the high end of medium to low end of fine range, you know, but it will give you a good working edge. You could also take a double-sided diamond sharpener and cut it down to a more appropriate size for inclusion in a pocket survival kit. That's what I plan to do with this. Other tools, saw is useful with wire saws. The only wire saw I would even mess with, because they're pretty fragile, is probably the US issue helical wire saw, and I think you can buy them at Best Glide, and they're probably about 2 blades and a set of handles for around $20–30. And this, I just crimped some handles on it with wire to take up less space than the little screw-on handles that they include with them. If you're gonna include a wire saw, you don't want to take up a lot of space. Or you could go with a smaller saw, like a skill saw blade or a reciprocating saw blade. Either of those would be a small package, and just get a blade shape and number of teeth that will cut through materials you will need to cut through, and will cut through a wide variety of materials. Safety pin is very useful, as are needles, from everything from sewing to digging out splinters. You want to use a large eye on your needles, whether it's a sewing needle or a sail needle, so you can work with sinew or large fibers from improvised thread from larger cordage. To save your knife, you might consider a pry bar. I usually don't carry a pry bar, widgie bar, just due to lack of space, but if you're in an urban environment and you wanted to not damage your knife blade, that's a good thing to carry. You also might consider entry tools. I personally would carry money for self-recovery over tools. You know, if you're breaking into stuff, it's highly probable that you're gonna cause, you know, go from a bad situation to a worse situation. But if you are going to carry them, I think the Bogota TI flats are a great choice. They're not going to rust, and they're effective for both raking and single pin picking. Maybe a flat bar for a tension tool. I did a video on cuff keys and shims that explains what this is, but it's just a handcuff key and shim on a bobby pin. You might include a decoder tool and a knife tool to open padlocks and combination locks. Also, the bobby pin can be turned into a tool in its own right, especially if you have something to shape it with, like an abrasive surface from, or maybe a diamond cutoff wheel from a rotary tool. I think there's one in this little package actually. There's a diamond file that can be used to shape it, or a rod saw if you have to cut small teeth or wear something down. Sorry, a rotary cutoff wheel, diamond cutoff wheel. It's great for removing material, and it takes up virtually no room. There's some bobby pins. You might include some larger bobby pins like the roller pins. I took them out because I was making tools with them. The other thing you might consider for entry tools are jiggler picks. If you're trained, you know, if you've practiced with jiggler picks, they're a pretty effective tool. This one's more for designed to open gas caps. Some for smaller locks and house, you know, home typical door locks, like the like you would find on the front door of a house. These are more for opening vehicle locks, but be careful, you know, like I like what it says on the Sparrows site. These are from Sparrows. He says something to the effect that if you open an auto lock with one of these jiggler picks, that you're going to earn yourself a well-deserved high five or a court-appointed lawyer. So careful how you use them. But these are just some basic tools that you might consider. Again, I certainly wouldn't put all of them in a pocket survival kit, but you know, putting a few of them in a pocket survival kit is a great start. I guess I left out this mini gem tool. Is easy for opening live latches or locks that have a little too much room in the door jamb and the lock face. In any case, there you have it. Thank you for watching.